Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Here it's Rock Mall coming you with the weekly comic book roundup. Right now, we're at the X-Men portion. So we're gonna kick things off with Uncanny X-Men number 16. Where we left off, Cyclops, having gotten shot in the eye, thus becoming a Cyclops himself, had off to make some changes, and in fact had inadvertently allowed Dark Beast to do something to Magic and a few of the other members of the New Mutants. However, it turned out to be beneficial, as they now no longer had the transmode virus in them. So, yay! They had also managed to capture a handful of members of the Mutant Liberation Front. Also, yay! Anyway, as has become habit with Uncanny, we just open with a quote. "This began when someone I cared about died, and it began to end when someone else I cared about did too. All I can think is how each step we take toward our end never gets us any closer. It always comes out of nowhere." Alright. So, we opened it 2 days ago in Salem Center. Captain America is applauding Cyclops for turning over 4 members of the Mutant Liberation Front. Cap says, "Oh, that's, nice work. However, my insults to yet other prisoners," implying Dark Beast, Banshee, and Hope. Scott lies to Steve's face. He's like, "Hey, your intel was wrong." Anyway. And Scott kind of makes it clear that he doesn't really think of this as being his country anymore. Steve says that, he feels bad. Steve calls out Scott on referring to America as your country as opposed to our country. And Scott replies that, he's a mutant. Any country he ever had was taken from him long ago. But he's given a note by Cap, so they go in and they but Havoc has a few questions for his brother. They talk a bit, and it kind of comes up that there is a reason why he goes to Wolverine for advice as opposed to Havoc. Havoc always had Cyclops' back, no matter what. He turns to Logan but Cyclops turns to Logan because him and Logan don't see eye to eye. Hell, Wolverine doesn't even like Cyclops, but Cyclops trusts his opinion. Anyway, we cut to an Air Force base at Eastern Transia. Fucking Transia. And we see a couple of American troops talking there while they're on guard detail. One of them thinks, "Here, something though." He looks. Anyway, Cyclops has has something to say. He's given up being leader of the X-Men, and everyone here has all been a great leader of the X-Men. You know, Danny Moonstar. Well, by X-Men he means X-Men and affiliated teams, obviously, because Danny Moonstar, Jimmy Madrox, Jono Starsmore, yeah. A lot of them have never been leaders of the X-Men. They've been leaders of X-Men affiliates, but yeah. So, anyway, while he's giving that speech, Juggernaut has shown up at the military base. And they're firing on it. Of course, it's friggin' Juggernaut. Bullets should kind of, yeah. Juggernaut deals with bullets the way, you or I would deal with, I don't know, a housefly. However, very suddenly their weapons are torn away by, of course, Magneto and the Brotherhood. The lineup consisting of, aside from Magneto and Juggernaut, Toad, Avalanche, Random, and Pyro. I'm going to roll my eyes right quick, and I'm going to roll them way back later on for reason that will be explained. So, it's Danny Moonstar suggests, hey, we vote on what to do. Anyway, the first vote that comes up then is from Illyana. She says, if we're still doing this, we're all doing this. All past sins are forgiven. If you'll fight alongside the X-Men will fight alongside you. And so we cut to Transia. And the X-Men show up. However, we all do another flashback. Turns out Wolfsbane has decided she's leaving the team. She wants to try and, at least for now, she wants to try and live a normal life. And Wolverine says, hey, look, let her leave. She's vulnerable, we shall all be fallen too. Your heart's not in it, you shouldn't be here. Anyway, so Cyclops and Havoc go after Magneto. Wolverine goes after Juggernaut. 3 Madroxes go after Toad, each one carrying a baseball bat. Random and Avalanche are going up against Hope, Moonstar, Karma, and Magic. Not sure if Avalanche is a little pissed that as he puts it, all the good X-Men died already, so he has to deal with the little girls. So Magic goes through a portal and sticks her soul sword through Avalanche. Now I'm not sure if this is supposed to be the original Avalanche Reborn or the second Avalanche from X-Men Gold. Until they say otherwise, I'm presuming it's the one from X-Men Gold. Then you had a bit with Chamber and Pyro, though the way Pyro's written, it kind of makes it seem like this is supposed to be St. John Allardyce Pyro, who's been dead for quite some time due to the Legacy virus, and not Pyro from X-Men Gold, who was kind of sort of becoming Iceman's boyfriend. So, the fight is starting to turn more and more in the X-Men's favor, though it's through sheer luck they managed to get Magneto's helmet off. And so, and thus, Cyclops has Karma get into Magneto's head. Only to reveal that it's not Magneto, but rather, it's Joseph. Joseph was, for those unaware, Joseph was a clone of Magneto who popped up after the fall of Avalon, shortly after the Age of Apocalypse. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if the initial idea was, yeah, we're going to have Magneto redeem himself, and he's going to turn over his entirely new leaf, and it'll be Joseph. And then there was a shift in writers and editorial. I was like, yeah, he's a clone. We're going to kill him all. He's a clone. Magneto is Magneto. But anyways, Karma gives his hell of a speech to, though Joseph, pretty says, it's a lovely speech, but I'm a little beyond your junior high debate skills. She says, yeah, that's fine, but I wasn't talking to you. As it turns out, Juggernaut isn't sneaking up behind him, and Juggernaut's pissed, apparently, because nobody tricks the Juggernaut. Technically, yes, you could say Magneto is Joseph. Joseph is Magneto, but he's still not Magneto. So, yeah. Juggernaut switches sides. And Juggernaut decides he wants to be an X-Man again. And then Joseph starts to give a speech about how, all you're doing is, hating the demise of mutant kind, when very suddenly his head is cut off. By apparently Psylocke. Though it is actually revealed that it's not Psylocke, but rather Quenon. Okay. Again, kooky X-Men history. For a while, there was a point where Psylocke had her mind placed in the body of the Japanese assassin Quenon, and vice versa. Quenon returned to the X-Men, and apparently died of legacy vibe. Quenon came back to the X-Men, a Japanese assassin in the body of Elizabeth Braddock. An aristocrat, or a British aristocrat. However, recently during the Hunt for Wolverine, however, Betsy got her old body back somehow. And she explains that she's trying to remember the X-Men, because she is, as she puts it, I am nothing. And she explains that someone was a weapon. He would be used to erase mutants from Earth if he was not stopped. Then Moonstar doubles over in pain. Wolfsbane is dead. So the issue ends. And if the cover of next issue is to be believed, Wolfsbane is dead. Alright. Moving on to Wolverine Infinity Watch number 3. Alright, so where we left off, they had managed to get rid of the Warbringer. However, shortly after doing that, the fraternity of Raptors showed up and took our boy Hector and so, yeah. So we begin at Asgard at the end of time. Phoenix Wolverine and King Thor are talking, drinking, and reminiscing and drinking. So we cut, back in the present. Wolverine's brought a couple cases of beer onto the flying, onto him and Loki's flying ship. Their tastes in beer differ greatly, we discover very, very soon. However, they do manage to find someone to help them track down the fraternity of Raptors. The spirit dog Bats, who lives at the Sanctum Sanctorum, who was mentioned previously, who shows up actually in the second issue of War of the Realms as well as War Scrolls. Logan manages to convince Bats to come with them because, hey, they got beer in a spaceship. And Logan doesn't entirely trust Loki because, well, Loki's Loki. You don't just become the god of mischief, lies, all that fun stuff, because, you inadvertently told a fib once upon a time. No. You become the god of mischief, lies, and whatnot because every word out of your mouth shouldn't be taken with anything but at least a cosmically sized grain of salt. So, apparently the fraternity of Raptors are only near Saturn. They're trying to figure out where to get where on Hector the space gem is. Doing X-rays, it's not there. It's theorized maybe there's in pocket dimensions it can only be accessed by the user. They decide they're going to just dissect them. But Hector, of course, does not realize just what all he can do with the stone. Because he never really tried to do much of anything but stop time. But anyways, Bats, Loki, and Wolverine board the ship and just start attacking the Raptors. Loki goes out to do his part, and basically Loki leaves Wolverine to do the actual fighting. Logan cuts a hole in the ship, gets back on board, and runs into the same Raptors he threw after the hole in the ship, because hey, they can survive the vacuum of space. Well, he gets ejected into space with the Raptors, and Loki tries to fool Tal-Anar into thinking he's Richard, but Tal-Anar pretty much softened that immediately. He's like, you're not, you're Loki. So Loki, however, seeing as how things have gone kind of, well, to pot, he leaves the he leaves Wolverine in the tender mercies of the Raptors and goes back to Earth, to the Ryder residence. And he calls upon, while disguising himself as a member of the Nova Corps, he calls upon the mother of Talonar to help him. Yeah. I'm just going to get that feeling that by the end of this, Loki's going to have made enemies of Nova, the Nova Corps, the Fraternity of Raptors, Talonar, everyone, once again, because Loki. Alright, moving on to Major X, number 2. Now, a major change between this and Major X number 1 is this issue is not actually drawn by Rob Liefeld. In fact, from looking at the solicits, only the first and last issues were. Everything else is drawn by others. So, but he did write the scripts. So bear with me. Alright. So, when we open up, we get an explanation of things. The X-Istance was a world of peace and prosperity for mutant kind. A haven like none they'd known before. When the creator of the X-Istance, the X-Enshel, disappears, the world begins to crumble around its inhabitants. Major X, a mutant named Alexander Summers, along with McCoy, managed to travel back in time before their world was destroyed. Major X has teamed up with his father, Cable, and X-Force in the hopes of saving the X-Istance. Oh, those X's. So we get the history of the X-Istance. The X is told by the X-Enshel. Things had gotten really bad on Earth for mutants. And there was a villain named the Catalyst who, trying to kill them off. X-Istance made or the X-Enshel made, I think it's the X-Enshel. Too many friggin' X's. The X-Enshel had made a portal. And so the mutants and the Atlanteans went through it. The Atlanteans, but the mutants and the Atlanteans ruled over this world. However, eventually, the Atlanteans weren't entirely happy with how things were going. The X and Major X is a bit close. Nomar makes his points, and then there's some arguing. We cut back to the here and now. Read back in the formative days of X-Force. Cable and Wolverine listen to Major X's story. And so McCoy, Major X, Cable, and Wolverine go to Graymalkin. They arm themselves, and then Major X and Cable go into the future while McCoy stays with Wolverine. They end up on Graymalkin, which is on the ocean floor. But someone else's. They end up finding an Atlantean giant named Sharkskins. They fight it. They fight him off, and they duke it out with him. But he's not alone, as Eel shows up, and things are not entirely going. It's kind of a 50-50. Then another Atlantean, Undertow, arrives, and when all is said and done, Graymalkin seems to be destroyed. But obviously, Major X and Cable still survive. Moving on to the Amazing Nightcrawler, number 3. So, where we left off, Megan tried to get Nightcrawler to give up his inhibitions in a masked club where people could show affection. He didn't go for it though. So he went back to the studio, or to Studio X, where he found Mystique. Oh, okay, we know where to be Mystique. He has no idea who she is, but blue-skinned woman in his room with a file. So Mystique and Nightcrawler duke it out, but she leaves the file behind. And when Kurt goes through the file, he discovers it's a file on a young girl, Tania Jean, age 4, scheduled for relocation. So the next morning, it turns out that Kurt's a little off with filming. So he has to do better, and he does. So him and Megan discuss what's the previous night, and he shows her the file. Mainly, he shows her the file, which I'll explain later, to make sure this was not a trick from Lady Mastermind. Make sure that Megan sees the same thing. But it's all, the Cuckoos are also brought up with the fact that they kind of do get to be a family, whereas nobody else does. So anyway, so they have Celeste actually look into Tania Jean. And so they find out she's in Portland, so they're transferred at the end of the week. She's being sent to Cleveland, Ohio. I'm like, alright, cool. So they leave. Celeste, so after they leave, Celeste says, she's not the first person to access this file. So they're trying to figure out what to do. Then Irma Cuckoo interrupts them. So they talk a bit, and it's mentioned that they might want to visit Portland. So how about some PR? So they do a mall tour. Because mall tours are totally the in thing here in the 20-teens. But turns out they weren't the only ones who had planned to do tour stop at this mall. And Lady Mastermind and her group show up. They start some shit, and Magma and Kylan leap into battle. That's where the issue ends. Alrighty, now moving on to Next Gen number 3. Yet another Age of X-Men mini. Where we left off, Armor and Pixie have seen members of Department X threatening some fellow students with mind wipes. Glob Herman reveals to Armor that the reality they live in is a fake, and Department X has been making troublemakers disappear. They're also concerned about Noel, who very closely avoided capture. However, there's a plan afoot to destroy the Hope Summers library by the radicals that Anole has got involved with. So things open up. Rockslide is reading over his book, is trying to find anything about the life seed after it was utilized. But he can't find anything about it. Glob and when Anole leaves, Armor's just that she and Glob leave as well. So they track him down. They try to explain, hey, we know there's something going on. What is it? However, they're interrupted by Dean Angel. Meanwhile, Rockslide goes to talk to Madison Jeffries, who's the professor of the Department of History, about what happened to the Lycee after Resolution. Now, an interesting thing to note is that Maxime from Extermination is waiting outside of Professor Jeffries' office. Well, anyways, as they're having their conversation, Miss Blevin Skids comes in with the books that had been sent out to be rebound, including Quest for the Life Seed. Meanwhile, in Sunfire's civil management class, we get a very, very heavy-handed anti-drug scene, and it's not done as a social commentary about drugs. It's actually done to. It is very clearly somebody sat through all those classes in the 80s and 90s about how drugs are bad and gay. And this is like the worst of them all put together. So, and Pixie figures that all of these signs apply to Armor. Is she doing Unveil? And so, then elsewhere on campus, Anole passes by the community board and seems to write something on it. Something that we don't see for a while. So, on the farm, Glob's feeding the chickens, and Rockslide comes to talk to him. Basically to, say, hey, this is frustrating the hell out of me. I just need to get it. I need to say it to someone. And he says that this whole thing with the Lycee feels like he found a hole in history. They're trying to patch it up, trying to suppress any questions. And Glob's like, hey, wait, you're not wrong. And he explains everything that's going on. And even claims he can prove that he's not wrong. And so Armor gets called out for using drugs by Pixie, who's, no, I'm not. But Manon and Maxime show up and say that, Pixie's not wrong. Which is implying to me more of their involvement in the overall Age of X. And Armor goes to talk to Anole. Then Pixie bursts in and realizes, oh no, you two are grades? I knew something was going on. Then Armor's up and punches Pixie in the mouth. And tells her who to go talk to, form so that Armor can find out what's really going on. And he leaves, saying, and in Sabanur we trust. Anyways, it turns out on the community board, on all the papers that say no identity, or that say identity, autonomy, harmony, it now says no identity, no autonomy, no harmony. And then written across everything is, you are being lied to. Okay. I'd say these are more than anything. These are interesting, so I'll give them that. But I'll still be glad when they're over, because that's going to be, that's going to be a lot of those books I have to buy. Anyway, that's it for this week's X-Men books. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you think about this format for the roundup.
Also, be sure to hit the bell icon to be notified when I put new content. And as always, there's links to my Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon in the search box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.